Hello everybody, Average Gamer here. Welcome to another Let's Talk. In this episode, we're going to talk about an alternative skill tree. A skill tree that's, in my eyes, is a mixture of both the old one, or the current one I should say, and the new one, the one that's currently in testing. So the old one gave us 4 different trees basically. There was the mech tree, the consumable tree, the weapon tree, I think it was the weapons tree, and there was the consumables tree. The new system is basically just one big tree, and everyone's the same. Well, what I thought of was, well, what if we broke it into actually 2 trees? A pilot tree and a mech tree. The pilot tree is one of those things where the pilot's abilities are basically broken up into a simple thing. 4 or maybe even 5 different categories as a pilot. Your offensive abilities, defensive abilities, your survivability, your piloting abilities, something like that. And what happens is as you play games, instead of getting both C-bills, GXP, and Mech XP, it's changed up to C-bills, pilot XP, and Mech XP. So your pilot XP, you don't spend it. You just earn it. And it goes into your pool of different things in the game. If you do a lot of damage, the majority of your XP for that match for your pilot XP would go into your weapon systems. If you take a lot of damage but survive, your defensive and piloting skills go up. If you survive, your survivability obviously goes up. They'll be correlating certain things that happen in a match will positively impact your pilot XP. So it's always going to go up, no matter what. Just not all of them will go up at the same rate. Now, what will happen once, say, one of your progress bars fills up? Well, it unlocks 2 options for you, but you're only allowed to pick one. So say your piloting skill goes up. Well, it gives you 2 options. For whatever percentage, you get an addition to your speed. So you're just that much a little faster, aka speed tweak. Or you get better yaw movement. You get better turning left and right? Because you as a pilot, as your piloting skills, have learned to tweak your mech that you're in just a little bit. If I went over here and kind of changed the following, chain from the chain A to chain B type, and I kind of modify, the following plugs over here in the engine, I can get just a little bit more speed out of my engine. Or for torso twist, be like, well, if I change out the following, sprockets that turn the torso left and right, if I actually swap them out with these ones, made by the following person, then, it turns a little bit better. Especially if you use the following grease instead of the other grease. So you as a pilot learn as you play, right? But you actually should have some sort of impact as a veteran mech warrior. Yes, you have the skills to play, but if I have 2 mechs that are the exact same, no quirks, no skills, no nothing, the pilot should make the difference. Well, that veteran pilot, who's been playing for 3-4 years, should get a bonus for playing. Now, it's not going to be a massive one, but they should get one nonetheless. Now, as you level up and rank up as well, it will include things like your PSR, which would take things into effect. So, someone with a rank 30 weapon skill, we're not playing against someone with a level 2 weapon skill, because there may be, depending on how the math would work out and percentages, there could be a massive percentage difference between the 2 as well, right? So it's something else to take into consideration when playing as well, right? It'll kind of help things out a little bit. So you don't get this massive disparaging skill thing where people just constantly get the power creep or the skill creep. This way you'll have a player who, they play really good, they have a high PSR, but they have really low skill systems. They're really low on the skill, which means they're not, they won a lot of matches and their PSR's gone up, but they really haven't done well. So it'll offset, right? So for every PSR level, there's also the different skills within that, right? So it'll kind of help out the, people getting completely and utterly destroyed in matches. Now, the thing about this too is that it'll be always random. So no matter what skill you unlock after that match, your match ends, you get your little after action report, and it says, you're in this many C-bills, this many pilot this many mech skills, and this many, pilot whatever, and it will tell you, hey, leveled up weapon system. It'll actually say, 230 PXP. And then below that, it'll show you in a little progress bar with an actual color code if it's gone up or not. Now, mind you, the higher ranking you get, and there'll be no actual cap, or even you can set a cap and set it at, whatever number. Look at World of Warcraft. They have like levels, like I think it's like 130 or 140. So yes, there you go. 100 levels of each thing. And have a max percentage as well, right? Be like, okay, well, what's the max percentage? Someone playing this game, getting level 100, what should they get for the following? And go through all the different stats, right? Because that player should be really good, or at least deserves the ability to get those little bonuses for playing. So, you got all that. And the fact that you can't min-max it, in my eyes, is a good thing. Because you're getting a random option every time. It doesn't look at the mech you're running. It doesn't look at the mechs you have in your mech bay. It just says, this is the tier you're in. You just unlocked something. I'm going to give you the following 2 options using RNG. Boom. And at the end of the match, it will say, your pilots, all your different skills, and all of a sudden one will fill up, and it will all of a sudden flash and say, leveled up. You end the match. At the end of the match, you know how normally you get a thing if you've redeemed some rewards. It pops up and says, redeemed whatever. Well, a different screen pops up. And it's the pilot skill tree. And it says, hey, congratulations, you leveled up your weapon system. Or your weapon skill. Please choose one of the following. And then it gives you 2 options. You hover over it. It breaks it down. It gives a little lore comment about why you're better at that than the other. Or why you're better at that now. Something, little bit of seasoning, right? A little bit of lore seasoning, just kind of, sprinkled in there. And, someone will be simple as medium pulse cooldown versus medium pulse range. Well, medium pulse cooldown, you've learned how to better tweak those cables that wrap around the coolant. Or the coolant cables that wrap around the laser a little bit. The one day you were talking to your dad and he told you, if you actually went in the following pattern of cabling, for the coolant, it actually increases the efficiency of it just by a little bit. Well, guess what? Because of that, you tried it to just, you finally realized, I'm going to try it, and it worked. You now get a plus 0.25%, heating efficiency to your medium pulse. Half a percentage. The other one is, well, your medium pulse is going to hit longer. Why? You were talking to your a noble the other day at a bar, and he was drunk, and he was telling you about the newest systems coming out of one of the recent companies where they modified and augmented the one of the lenses in the lasers. They put it at the following angle, the 10-degree angle instead of an 8-degree angle, and it increased the range of the laser that was being fired, by 30 meters. Well, guess what? You get that 30-meter now boost to your medium pulse if you pick that one. So, it's a little bit of lore mixed in, and it's really nice. As for the mechs, so the mech system would be along the lines of role warfare. So, for example, in this case, we're going to use the Raven as the example of, let's look at how long we've gone here. We've gone 10 minutes. The Raven for this. Because it's got pretty much in my eyes, 2 real jobs. First one is silent sniper. The other one is scouter / silent support mech type thing. So every mech will be generally the same. Obviously, the options will be a little different because each mech will have its own little lore sprinkled skill tree, but nonetheless, so the whole skill tree will be grayed out and blacked out. And to keep things from being min-maxed, things will be modified a little bit. So one weapon system may be higher or lower than the other. Something may be on the left instead of the right. It'll all be generally the same, but it'll also be kind of lore based. And there'll also be some companies mixed in. This is a good way to get companies mixed in. Now, it's just not the companies themselves, just like the names to kind of offset stuff. And everything will have both positive and negative aspects. So, just gonna scratch my head here. First off, you buy your Raven. I think it's the 3L there that has the ECM. You got it. You playing it for a couple matches, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you leveled up your Raven. Cool. You end your match, sure enough, instead of the redeeming page, it says, hey, you leveled up your Raven. It's time for you to pick your Raven specialty. And you're like, oh, I get to pick a specialty on my mech? This is interesting. It's like, would you like to go offensive and do the silent sniper / flank harasser? Or would you like to do the silent scout / electronic support mech? Ooh, that right there makes it kind of go interesting. You can hover over each one. It gives you a brief detail of what the role of the 4 different types are. Well, the ECM obviously support is to help support with ECM coverage in the group. So a lot of the bonuses associated with the ECM support will be around your sensor systems, specifically your sensor ranges, and your ECM, and the ability to help support those mechs. So it'll also give you bonuses to C-bills when getting those certain bonuses during a match. The silent sniper, that is all about carrying a big, large weapon, but also having ECM. Now, it says, with this comes obviously positives and negatives as well. Now, with this one, it's like, okay, well, you're carrying a large weapon, so you do have heat issues, and you do have ECM. One of the other trade-offs, though, is speed. So you're losing speed and heat efficiency, but you're gaining a large weapon, or the ability to unlock more efficiencies associated with large weapons, large caliber weapons, both lasers and ballistic. The flanker is able to carrying low, very close range weaponry and having high speed. With that, you have to lose things like, sensor ranges and ECM coverage and things like that. You don't lose them, they just take a little bit of a hit. And then obviously the last one, not least, is the silent scout. That's where everything is all about speed, maneuverability, and ECM, but you get a lot of dings when it comes to weapon systems. So you have these options, basically offensive option and then defensive option right at the beginning. But then it breaks it down to you saying, this is the 4 types the community has picked upon. This is what the Raven should do as lore states. Boom. So if you go down the offensive tree, the first thing it says, I want to go offensive. You click offensive, it's like, cool. At this general moment, you have earned, because it's all about offense, being get in, get out, get some damage done. You just earned a generic 1% increase to weapon cooling. So any weapon gets a 1% cooldown automatically. Doesn't matter if it's ballistics, doesn't matter if it's energy, doesn't matter if it's missile, doesn't matter. Just a 1% heat efficiency bonus, a 1% cooldown. But then you also obviously lose out. Well, in this case, you're going to lose 20 meters to your sensor ability, and you're going to lose 20 meters to your ECM. So basically what's happened is you've been able to modify some of your weapons, throw in some heat sinks, but you had to obviously take something out. Well, it's going to be some of your sensor system and some of your beagle, or some of your ECM. With the scouting, it's the other way around. If you pick defensive, it's okay, well, it's all going to be about armor, speed, ECM, and sensors. So your ECM gets an automatic boost of, say, 30% or 30 meters. Your sensors are up 30 meters. But if you carry but then you actually get a minus to your and to weapon range, a -1% to weapon cooldown, a -1 to weapon velocity. So you get the opposite, right? So all defensive quirks are basically going to be the opposite of the offensive ones. But then on the next tier, right, is when it starts changing up a little bit. So you get down to the second tier of, say, offense, and it's like, well, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a ballistic specialist, a offensive special, or a missile specialist, or a laser specialist? And when you go to that, it negates the one above and applies the proper thing. So if you go to missile specialist, you get negative, the negative stuff still from the one above, but you don't get any quirks or any augments or any modifications to ballistics or energy, but you get down the missile tree quirk, or down the missile tree system. And then it branches and branches and branches. Same with the defensive one. It'll be, do you want to be an ECM ECM support specialist or an ECM scout specialist? Well, if you're going to be a support, you don't need your speed, and you're going to just need a lot of ECM. Because you're not scouting, your sensors don't need to be there. So your ECM gets a big boost. But, obviously there's other negatives towards that. So, every mech, right, can slowly work its way down. Now, they don't need to do this for every mech immediately. They can make, just to be like, hey, everybody, here's the deal. We're going to roll this out for 2 mechs of each chassis, or, 2 inner sphere, 2 clan mechs per level. So 2 lights for the inner sphere, 2 clan for the 2 lights for the clan, 2 lights for the inner sphere. 2 mediums, 2 assaults, 2 heavies. We're going to do this 2 mechs at a time. We're going to throw this out on the PTS and tell us how you think this mech is reacting, how well you think this mech is. And then we'll tweak the tree a little bit. We want you guys to go down the assault, the both offensive ones. We want you to try all the different builds. Want to see how it is, and then we're going to go to the next 2. And then just keep going and going through all the different mechs. And it's a good way to do it. So that way you have a mech-specific tree. Then you also have the pilot tree, right? So the pilot tree will affect you overall. That way they can also get rid of the quirk system. Because you as a pilot are now the major factor. Yes, certain mechs are weaker in comparison to others. That's the way it is. It's the way it always will be. 2 75-ton tank mechs are not the same. Just like it is in real military, if I took a 60-ton tank and a 60-ton tank, just because they're both 60-ton tanks doesn't mean they're equal. But I go back to the original thing there. So, having both a mech tree and a pilot tree offsets a lot of stuff. It's based on you and how you play for the pilot tree. And the mech tree is all based off of lore and the mech itself. Now, you could probably throw in another tree in there somewhere for things like consumables. Or even you as a pilot. If you use them a lot, you should gain efficiencies towards them. If you fire off artillery every single match, that should help you. You should learn, or at least get bonuses towards using those, because you use them all the time. You're learning how to use them. Not only do you get better at them as a player, as a person, but your pilot then starts getting those little bonuses. But yeah, I'm kind of getting to a point now where I'm kind of blubbering a little bit, and I want to think what you guys think. So what do you guys think of this idea of having a mech specific tree associated with being offensive, defensive builds, and lore based? And then a pilot skill, like a pilot system, based solely on just playing, earning a random reward, and it just being on you for whatever mech you use. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. See you in the battlefield. Bye-bye.